Hello and welcome to the Tell Not Show. I'm Kiersha Fox, author of the Deception and Justice series. I'm a reader, gamer, and homeschooling mom. My co-host Julia J.K. Allen can't join us tonight, but our guest is Anne Charles, who is a USA Today bestselling author of several spicy, award-winning mystery series full of mayhem, adventure, comedy, and suspense. We're so excited to have her. Anne Charles, thank you so much for being on the show. Can you tell us a little bit about your writing journey? What got you started and how's it going?
Wow. It's been a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I have, it started in the mid 90s, 1990s, the way last century, as my kids like to say. Um, and it wasn't like, this is what I wanted to do. This is my dream and passion. It was more, I wanted to write a story that ended the way that I liked. Not that, I'm perfect and I know exactly how to write an ending. It was just I was reading books and, I'd finish and go, oh, I would have liked to have more of this or, a little bit longer. It's like my husband and I talk about Good Will Hunting, that movie,
Mm-hmm.
wonderful movie, amazing. And at the end, I don't want to ruin it, but his feelings are, oh no, it ended perfectly, and my feelings are, no, I wanted to go just a little bit further to see how things went on and what happened. So that kind of motivated me to give it a try, to write a story that I could write the ending to. And the first book I wrote was handwritten on notebook paper,
Mm-hmm.
and I just got to the end, and that was big for me because I didn't, like I said, I never planned on writing a book. I had other things I was going to do. And so that was kind of like, oh, wow. It was like a 60,000 word book. So it wasn't, a super long one, but it was, beginning, middle, end. Not very good beginning, middle, end, but it was there. And I
Mm-hmm.
put, I typed up a synopsis and proposal, and I sent it off to a book publisher way back when, because that was really the only way you got, you
In
were
the 90s,
published.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So they rejected it, but they were very kind and they said, hey, we're not interested in this, but you show potential, so don't give up. And they probably were just being nice. But I said, oh, don't give up. Okay, let's try it again. And so I did try again over the years. And several years later, I wrote, the fifth book, I think it was, which turned out to be the first in my Jackrabbit Junction series, pre a major edit. But I was able to land an agent, which was still pretty necessary at that time.
Uh-huh.
And we shopped it, but I have this problem, as it was back then, of mixing my genres a little too much. They wanted me to pick, are you going to write romance? Are you going to write mystery? Are you writing adventure? What are you writing here? This is just a mixed genre, thing, and we need you to
Yes.
pick one and make it like 70% that. And
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't, because the way it came out was, you know 40% this, 30% this, 30% whatever. It was just all mixed up. And so
Mm-hmm.
I tried, and I tried to do another one, and that didn't fly. And then I tried to do what turned out to be the first book in my Deadwood Mystery series, and um, sent that in, and I was able to hook someone, and an editor at one of the New York houses back then, and he was amazing. He worked with me. He taught me so much, and we tightened the story, and we went up through the chain. And then at the very end, the final acquisitions marketing rejected me.
Hmm.
So it wasn't even the editors. The editors were on board, but marketing said, we don't think that, this book is set in a small Midwest town, that it's going to fly, New York, LA, yes, but not middle of the country. So I was pretty bummed, to say the least. But at that point, it had been long enough that indie publishing was becoming more and more a thing. It was already there, but it was, Amazon had come on, and they had really kind of opened doors wider for those that wanted to do their own, and or a small press. So it was easier to form a small press and go forth. And that's how we started out. Formed with a partner, and did that for a few years. But I soon realized I can't juggle publishing, and all that goes into being a publisher and
Mhm.
writing books. I have to pick, and having kids and a, husband. I just can't do it all. And I was still working at that time full time as well. So I had to give up something, and I walked away from the publishing side of the business and just became a full time author,
Mhm.
uh, and went all in. And that's kind of how it all began. And since thinking back, 2013 is when I quit my day job and went full time. And since then, this is what my husband and I do is write books and go talk about books and, all the fun of being an author that, again, I never expected to do. So it's been really wonderful and fun and surprising and sometimes really stressful, but it's always something new in the writing world.
Yes. Sorry, that was so much. Like,
Sorry, I just kept
no, you're
going, huh?
wonderful. I'm like, I could listen to you talk like for hours. I'm like, I need to take notes here. Like all
I
the
won't tell you about the late,
Mhm.
late nights with the baby, sleeping next to me on the couch, writing, and sleeping like 4 to 5 hours, and then waking up and getting up and going into work and dragging through, a day of work, and then coming home, spending time with the kids and the baby, and then going back to work at night and all that. That's where it was
Oh yeah.
exhausting.
I
Nowadays, if I did that, I'd probably keel over, but that was me younger. So I could do it then.
Yes. Yeah, so I have 4 kids and the youngest is 3.
Oh
So
boy.
I definitely feel you on all of that.
Yes.
No, you've hit up on so many like important truths I feel like authors need to hear, of writing the book that you want to read. If it doesn't exist yet, you have to write it.
Right. Yes, exactly. And it may not be the big hit you think it is, but it may be something that gets you to the next book that maybe is, something that resonates more with readers.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah,
It's you have to keep going forward and trying, I think, to
mhm.
see and trying to enjoy the journey of it all, which can get really lost in
Mhm.
envy and stress and all that comes with this job. Even me, there's times I think, why is this not happening to me? And it's happening to one of my good friends. Come on. And then I have to step back and say, well, why aren't you making it happen? You can't just wait for stuff to come to you. You have to go get it. So I battle with that because some days I don't want to go get it. I just want to lay on the couch, and binge something on TV
Yes.
and
Keep doom
just not.
scrolling, yeah,
Yeah.
do anything else.
Exactly.
I totally understand. Yeah. And yes, writing those first few books, sometimes it just has to be part of the process that launches you in the direction that you're supposed to go. And I
Right.
fell into this trap myself. And then I have many friends and they have one book out and they're going, I wrote the book. Where's all my success? Where's my awards? Where's my accolades? Where's my movie deal? And
Yeah.
sometimes you have to write a bunch more and keep going to hit your stride, to be discovered, to have it take off for sure.
Yeah,
Uh,
in the 90s when I was just getting started, I'd go to writing workshops and they would tell us, "You need to write 5 books and get them out there. And
mhm,
once you have 5 books going, then you've built up enough fan base and you're doing well." Well, then like 10, 15 years later, it was like you need to write 10 books and have 10 books out there in order to get some traction. Now, I don't even know. I don't
mhm.
wanna think about it, to be honest,
Now
because
there's the
it's
book
like,
where it's like 20 to 50K. Like if you want to be a full-time author, you have to write 20 books. Yeah.
yeah.
Geez. But
And
yeah.
unfortunately, I don't write. I really wish I wrote 60K or less, but my books tend to be 100K to 120. So it
Mhm.
takes me longer, and I'm um,
Yes. That's a
wishing.
respectable book, about an inch or so. Yeah. An inch
And
thick.
I talk to, my writing brain, and I say,
Mhm,
why can't we, cut these stories a little shorter? Can you
mhm.
wrap it up? And it's like,
I
just
don't
step
do
back,
short either.
lady. Yeah.
Yes. That's
So
yes. Yeah. Writing to market would be easier. Writing one genre would be easier. Writing something silly and flimsy and fun, like, not saying that there's anything wrong with that. It definitely has its
yeah,
place. But when it's not you, no, you have to write the stories that you are meant to tell.
right. Yes.
Yeah.
And I've always been wordy, so I guess it comes out on the page. I'm wordy,
Mhm.
and but it's not in a bad way. I do tighten, don't,
Mhm.
it goes through all the editing, and I have multiple. I have a beta crew, first draft crew, and a beta crew, and it goes through all those guys, and they're wonderful. And if it makes it through those 2 layers or levels and, thumbs up and they love it, then I kinda go, "Whew, okay, we got this." Because those are the diehards that have read the books multiple times, the series, like
Mhm.
I've got 4 the I just put out the 14th book in my Deadwood series last, December, November, December, and these people that are these wonderful readers that are part of the beta crew have easily gone through the whole series 5 times or more, and they know
Mhm.
it, so they can help me find the little things I'm doing wrong, you know?
Yeah. They know you, they know the characters, they know the stories, they know the themes, they understand your vision, and
Yep.
you can trust them.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So once they're through it and they loved it, then I can relax, but,
Mhm.
until then, it's a lot of sweating as, you get through. You think that finishing the book and writing the end is gonna be, like, the best thing ever, and it does feel good, but then you
Mhm.
still have to go through your editor, and then you gotta go through all that stuff, which is just sometimes mentally exhausting.
Yes, yes. I don't know if you have climbed a mountain before. Um, a long, long, long time ago, me and my husband decided we were going to climb this mountain. And we kept looking up and going, okay, there it is. We see the top right there. We finally reached it, only to learn that there was so much more mountain than we saw from where we were, from our perspective. And I feel like writing a book is that way. You're like,
Yeah.
yay, I finished that first draft. And then you're like, oh no, there is so much more mountain ahead of you.
It's so funny you say that because I have a workshop that's called, Climbing Book Mountains,
Hmm.
and it's about that, and it's really how when you get to the peak, when you get to the top,
Hmm.
um, you're only halfway there because all you did was write the end. You wrote the first draft, and that's the top of the mountain. Well, then you have to do the hardest part, which is come back down when you're tired, exhausted, and where all the problems occur on the way down.
Hmm.
And that's editing and marketing and all that good stuff, that it takes.
Yes.
You've got to get yourself back down to,
Yeah.
base camp, and it's really hard, and then you get to base camp and you think, "Oh, I made it. The book's out. It's getting reviewed. It's doing okay. Woo." And you sit down in your chair and you look back up and there's that next mountain you got to climb. And it's going to be so hard. So you got to get back up and get going again. But yeah, it's just funny you say that because I've done that workshop several times. It's one of my
Mhm.
favorites. I talk about some of the mountain climbers that are my heroes.
Yes. Our tagline for the show is "There's more than one way up the mountain."
Oh, I love that. Well, it was like
Yes.
kismet that we're here, right?
Mhm.
This is
Yes,
perfect.
absolutely. Yeah, you keep saying things, and I'm like, "Oh, yes, I totally agree." Yeah. And I think it's wonderful that starting 2013, you're a full-time writer. Like that's the dream for me and so many other people to be able to quit our jobs and just write full-time. And you're ripping your hair out and you're crying and you're hitting the wall with your forehead, but it's our favorite thing. We
Right,
just want to
right.
share our stories.
It is, and it was my kids were 7 and 9 when I did that. So it was a
Mhm.
real scary leap because health insurance, we're leaving my full-time job where,
Mhm.
my husband had been laid off when the kids were little, so he was home with them just, to save us all the daycare and all the trouble.
Mhm.
So we
Yeah.
were going to have to, do this ourselves. And I quit and I was so excited. And then I remember there was this moment when I sat down to get back to writing of, oh, this is no longer the fun thing I do outside of the day job, that's exciting. And I want this. Now this is it. And I have to make this happen. And there's no, oh, I don't feel like writing today or this week.
Mhm.
It's right, right, right. And so there was a bit of a panic of, oh, what have I done? But in the end, it was one of the best things. That leap was one of the best things we did because of the time we get to spend with our kids. And then we
Mhm.
write whenever we joke about, what is a weekend? We don't know because we work 7 days a week. That's just how this gig goes. But then we'll take off at times for field trips,
Mhm.
or now my kids are 18 and 20. So I'm like, yes, they are doing their thing, and you're in the thick of it where you have to,
Yes, mine
every step of
are
the
my
way.
oldest is 13 and my youngest is 3.
Whew, that's
Yeah.
exhausting. Kudos to you for this, doing the show and keep going. That's
Yeah.
it's tough.
Well, being indie is really hard. And my friend Julia and I were like, oh man, I wish that there was a way to get more indie voices heard.
Mhm.
To have a place, a spotlight, a way to feature others that'll help. And we started this podcast, and selfishly, I love it. I meet the best people. I get to spend hours talking to other authors about how we write, and we share our wisdom and our anecdotes, and it's my favorite things, talking about writing books.
Right. Yeah. No, it's like having a conference right at your, in your office. You can, go out and hobnob and share, and all the fun stuff that you do at a writing conference, you can do right here online.
Hmm, hmm. And I think you're going to be like yeah, you're going to be our 99th episode.
Oh, I was so close to 100, but that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, sorry. Maybe next.
No, no, no. I mean, 99 bottles of beer is a very well-known song, so being
time.
99 is still good.
Yes,
What is
but
it? 99 Luftballons? Are you too old or too young for that? Or is
I
a
am
song
not
like that?
too young for that. But thank you for asking. Yeah, I'm let's see, 1984. So,
Oh,
well, not too far behind you, but a bit. Yeah.
I'm
Um,
like your way older sibling. Let's say that. Let's keep it at that.
yes. Well, you look great. I wouldn't have guessed. So,
Oh man. Yeah, 71. It's a lemon year for cars, but I
mhm,
say it was a good year for humans.
yes, it was. Yeah, and then I had a bunch of like older teenage siblings when I was born. So like I'm kind of more of a xennial, like right on
Right.
that Gen X
Right
gap there.
between.
So yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm the youngest too of all mine, and I keep forgetting. I keep putting myself that much older than I am because, I'm always with, around them. And then I have to go, oh, wait a second. I have a long ways to go to retire yet. So don't get excited. Get back to work.
For sure, for sure. Okay. So what genres do you write and what drew you to them?
So I started off trying to write romance, the Little White Harlequin books, because I grew up reading those. And I thought, oh, I love romance. It's so much fun. And I tried, and it is really hard to write good romance.
Mhm.
I have so much respect, and I still read a lot of romance because I have a lot of friends that are in the industry. Plus, some of my favorite authors wrote, different kinds of romance. So I tried that for a while, but I wasn't really good at the angst that you need. I think,
That
and
burn.
the depth
Yeah.
of emotion,
Mhm.
I kind of lean into humor more. So, and while romantic comedy is now more of a thing, back then it wasn't as popular. So I always joke, throwing a dead body in the mix made all the difference, because then it became I could have some humor and throw in the mystery part. And then along the way, I did a few with just mystery with romance mixed. And that's when I couldn't land a publisher, because they were like, hey, pick a team here. Are you going to write mysteries, or are you going to write romances? Well, then I ended up moving into adding some like paranormal is what they called it. Now they call it supernatural. And I found that really opened it up wide for me, because I've always loved a little bit of creepiness and things, as well as, mystery and romance and adventure. So I just started throwing it all together, adding some historical stuff here and there to um, I like to use history to teach about a place like Deadwood, where a lot of mine are
Mhm.
set, or Arizona and some of the history here. So adding that in. So it's a real blend of things. There's always some romance, because I still enjoy that, and I love a little bit or a lot of romance in a story. So
Mhm.
there's always some as a subplot, and I love to explore the relationships. But humor's big. It's a really big part of what I write. And if I'm having a bad day, or, kind of sad or something, it's hard for me I'll write just base stuff it won't have any color to it, but at least I get stuff on the page.
Mm-hmm.
And then I watch something funny, read something funny, or just put myself, into a mood of where I'm having a good time. And then I can go in and edit and add
Mm-hmm.
that humor in. So it's a mixed bag. And that's, good and bad. It doesn't work well if you're trying to fit on a bookshelf. But in this day and age, when virtual bookshelves, it works great because you can be on many bookshelves.
Absolutely, you can. Yes. Um, I love all of those genres and subgenres. Like that's amazing. I feel like I respect humor writers so much. It is so hard to write a joke and hope that it lands the right way because you have it in your head and
Right.
you're sitting there giggling at the page, but you're hoping that your readers are also like smiling or giggling or laughing as well with you. But you
Yeah.
won't know until your beta readers, your alpha readers read it and they get back to you and say, yes, it was good. I
Yeah,
love that.
there's one of my first draft readers, her job is to go through, and she's wonderful, and she goes
Mhm.
through and she comments where things made her chuckle or laugh, because I need to know if the joke lands, right?
Yeah.
Like you said. So that's what she does. She'll give me feedback on that, so I know, oh, okay, I need to tweak it a little bit to make it funnier, or oh, good, it landed perfectly. It made her laugh out loud. So that's great. And yeah, that's what I was saying, where some days it's really hard if humor is what you do mixed in, which is what I do. It's sometimes really hard to get that out. And the last couple of years, I've written a lot slower than I used to. My parents are aging. I lost my mom, and I found I would go to write a story or write, a chapter, and it would be so flat. So I had to keep going. Okay, it's not here yet, and I worried. Am I going to lose it entirely? Did I lose that sense of
Yes.
humor, that
That spark.
lightness? And finally, last year I was working on Deadwood 14, pushed on even though it was really hard. And then I went back and started editing and doing a little bit of, like, I like to call it painting. You
Mhm.
take a black and white and you paint it. And
Oh, absolutely. I feel like
and
writing a lot is like you write the sketch in first and then you start filling in
yeah,
the colors and you like every time you go over it, you add more and more detail until it comes together like a
mm,
painting. Yeah.
yeah. And it was harder than it had been in the past. And it was such a relief that, oh, you're still there. It was like, oh, thank
Yes.
God you're still around, because we have a lot of humor to write yet. So yeah, it's just such a mix, and it's what comes
Mhm.
out. And I often think, well, I wish I wrote cozy paranormals, but I don't, or I wish I wrote this kind of book, but I don't. So I just have to go with what comes out and hope
Mhm.
to find readers that share the same, sense of humor and what they like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've written over what 50 books or so, and you've been full time since 2013. Like, I feel like you should be doing pretty well, right?
It's almost 40. This year we'll hit 40. And we're going
Okay.
to have at 25, we made these really cool bumper magnets. That was the 25 and up club or
Mhm.
something like that. So now we're talking about what we got to do for the 40 and up club, and it's for those readers. When readers write in and say, hey, I've read 40 of your books, this is and then I'll send them this cool magnet that's autographed
Oh,
saying
that's fun.
that they've done the 40 and up. They're part of the 40 and up club. So yeah, it'll be exciting when we get to the end of this year. We've hit that.
Mhm. Wow, sorry. Just a
No, it's
lot.
okay.
No, I love all of those genres: humor, mystery, romance, supernatural, historical. Like, historical is so hard for me. I write fantasy so I can make up a world and not have to worry about being accurate or not, or doing like there's folklore research, but
Mhm.
it's okay, you can play with it a bit. But
Right.
historical is much, much harder and like just wow, like but
Well,
at the same
that's
time, I love reading it because I learn things and I love learning things
right.
about places that I would never have thought about learning about before. So
Right. I have to give credit the words due. There's one series that I co-write with my husband, Sam Lucky, and it's called the Deadwood Undertaker series. And it takes place back in like the 1870s. So he does a ton of research because he's always loved doing research. So he will go through and he makes sure verbiage we use is accurate for that
mhm,
time.
mhm,
Everything he reads in, all the old newspapers, and he does all that kind of stuff too. give it, because we know readers that know history, that love historical stories, they often are very, in tune with that era that they're reading. So
Mhm.
they'll want it to be as legit and close to what it was as you can make it, or it's going to pull them out of the story because they'll be like, you can't have that, at that
Mhm.
point. So it is a lot of work, and he does the lion's share of it. I get to just go, oh, I like
Just
that
like you.
what you
Yes.
found that. But I will, with my contemporary stories, I will go and find historical details about a certain element, maybe a treasure that we're trying to find, and the dig site series that I'm currently working on, that is Maya archaeology, and there is a ton of research. That one I actually am always reading up, watching things about the Maya, just learning as much as I can, because the heroine is an archaeologist, so I have to, you know know what she does, what she's doing, and know what she knows, to a small degree about that civilization. So that one takes me more time to write.
Well, again, like mad respect. Like that is like pulling it off is tricky. I've
It,
edited some novels and it's kind of fun to highlight it and be like, they wouldn't have said hello. That wasn't the thing yet.
right, right.
Little tiny things that are easy mistakes to make.
Yes.
So that's amazing. So we kind of went over how you described it as like starting from a sketch and black and white and then to color. It sounds like you do multiple rounds of like edits for your first draft. What does your writing process look like?
So I go chapter at a time. And what I mean by that are scene by scene but then a chapter cut. And then I'll go back through and start again at the beginning of the chapter and do the next layer of coloring, and then I'll go back again and I'll be fine tuning. I want to hit more depth, character point of view depth here. I can add a little bit here. I need to up the humor right here, and it's that fine tuned painting. And when I finish and I have a chapter to where I feel like, ooh, this is good. This is what I wanted. It hits all the things. It has goal, motivation, conflict. It has the character, arc part that I want, and all that in there. Then I'll go and here you go, first draft crew. Here's a chapter. And then I'll start on the next. I do that. The only thing I don't quite do that way is the first few chapters till the first turning
Mhm.
point. I keep those until I'm ready for them to get all that first 4 to 5 chapters, at once. And then I'll hand that off to my first draft crew. And once I hand it off, we're at the races now, because they will harass me and threaten to come get me if I don't give them at least one chapter a week.
Yes,
So
I
I have
agree.
to, yeah, once I give them the start of the book, the race is on. Here we go. And I've got to make sure I'm cleared, and there's going to be, plenty of time to just keep slamming out. And I try to write 2,000 words a day, 10,000 a week, and just keep up that pace, sometimes more if I need to push harder to get a book out faster,
Mhm.
and just keep going. And by the time I finish the book, first draft is pretty close behind me. So that and I'll be incorporating their edits along the way as I
Mhm.
go, so that when I'm done, they finish soon after. I go through the book one more time, hand it off to my editor. And when I do the one more time, we're pretty much done.
Mhm.
But that's because I put so much work into it before it goes to even first draft.
Yes.
And following that. And I know there's writers, some of my friends will write the whole book and then spend a lot more time editing.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's just not the way my brain works. And my husband I forgot to mention, he's my very first reader. He will take
Mhm.
it right after I say, okay, I think I'm done. And then I'll run it through him. And any edits he has or comments I'll deal with, and then it goes to first draft. So he knows my writing so well by now, that he's like, I think you can do more here with this. Or he used to write in the
Mhm.
margin. He'd just write the word no in the margin, and I'd be like, you can't do that. You can't just write no. You've got to tell me. And
Tell me why. Yes.
he's like, I think, you can look at it and figure out what I mean. And I'm like, not always. I kind of need
Mhm.
directions sometimes. So
Yes.
that's the process. It goes to the editor, comes back. I input what is needed, and go through it one more time myself
Mhm.
and send it off to beta.
Yes.
So it's about from the time I write the end, it's a good 4 to 5 week process before the
Mhm.
book is able to go live.
Yes. I hear common advice is like don't edit as you write. And I don't feel like that's for everyone because I have to edit as I write. What I'll do is I'll kind of look at the last chapter that I wrote the last time and
Yeah,
I'll read through it and make edits as I go. And it helps me get re-immersed back into the world, remember
right,
where I left off, and it kind of it's that diving board I need back into the
right.
writing.
Same
Um,
here. Same here.
mhm. So I feel like you shouldn't edit as you go. It should be don't let editing stop you from writing.
Right. Don't
Don't
get spinning in the mud too
yes,
much.
yes, don't rewrite the same paragraph over and over again and never let your characters get out the front door because you haven't perfected that first paragraph. Don't
Right.
go for perfection, go for better and keep going. Yes.
Right. And sometimes I need to just go on and
Yes.
just tell myself, listen, we're going to have a day when we wake up and the sun's shining. I'm feeling really funny and the words are coming well. Then we'll go back and we'll hit this
Mhm.
and try to
Yes.
do what we need to do.
Sometimes I use the brackets, like the little thing. I'll write a note to myself of have a conversation here where they
Yes.
go over this and this and this, and then I move on because I can't write that conversation right now, but I
Right.
will later, and I know what's in there, so I can move on.
Right.
Yes, don't
Yes.
let things stop you.
Exactly. Just keep going, keep pushing on. It's so important, or you do get stuck, and sometimes it takes me a while to get out of the first 5 chapters just because beginnings have so much to them.
Mhm.
I don't know if readers realize it, but to get that hook and to fully
Gosh.
get them on board, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And then if you write an ongoing series, like so many of us do, you have to fill them in enough on what they need to know. It's like those at the beginning of the shows, the series shows where they say last week, previously
Mhm.
on. You have to give enough previously on, but then you have to do it in a way that's not boring and tedious for the reader who's binging this.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
there's just all this fine tuning that goes in those first 5
Yeah, and there
chapters.
isn't one way to do it. I think for my 3rd book, I realized I'm like, I've got like 20 pages of recap here. Like trying to organically recap everything was just really hard. So I put a page near the front of the book of like, what happened in book 1, what happened in book 2. I put little synopsises.
Oh,
So if they
nice.
forgot, they can read them. And
Yes, that's
if they have, they can just skip it and go right on. So
right.
does the book start where they end off? But like most of the time I would say, yeah, organically refresh the people's memories as they go. But I was like, this isn't gonna work for me. I'm like
Yes.
spending so
And
much
I
time.
mean, book 14, it's not easy to organically refresh
Oh no.
with what, but
Characters
I
are like, you remember that one thing that happened like a year ago? Like,
exactly. Yeah. It's
yes.
like, and I've seen that with a lot of the series I see on TV where they only
Mhm.
refresh what you need to know,
Yes.
about this character regarding what's about to happen. And so I
Mhm.
try to keep that in mind too, how to do
Yeah,
that.
that's right. Only the bits they absolutely must remember.
Right.
Yeah, that's really good. Good lesson from TV shows.
Yes,
Because it
exactly.
might have been a few months or even a year since you last watched that last episode. You might have forgotten a lot of the important bits.
And I'll say when I'm watching a series and they show me that refresh, um, I'll be like, "Oh, we're gonna talk about this from 2 seasons ago." I
Yes,
can tell by the
you get
what
to
they're
address it
showing
now.
me.
Yeah.
So it's exciting. It's like, "Oh, we're gonna talk about that." So,
Mhm.
yes, a lot to learn there.
Right. Do you typically begin with characters or plot when starting a new book or new series?
It's been so long since I started a new series, so that's hard to answer for that. But I think it's the
Okay.
situation, it's the plot, and then the characters come in. For the Deadwood series, the contemporary one that I've worked on, when I did a ton of plotting before I started book 1. I did all this character development. I had interviews with the characters, like me sitting in a coffee shop talking to them, and I did all these kind of things to get going. I had GMC's goal motivation conflicts I'd seen in sequel the first few chapters. I sat down to write it, and um, the first page, the character that she was interacting with, the heroine, this old guy holding a shotgun on her out in the boonies, he'd never even been part of any of that pre work. There he was, old man Harvey, and he's one of the major characters.
Mhm.
He's her sidekick through it. And it was like, where did you come from? I did so much planning, I thought. So
Yeah,
plot starts it, but then characters come along
they
and
drive it along. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I always say I have character driven stories. The plots are there, but it's really about the characters and how they're reacting and going forth
Mhm.
throughout it all. And that's where the humor comes in, of course, is the character reactions to things.
Yes. It's funny how they grow their own minds and personalities. Like you made them, but they are their own people and they boss you around or they tell you what they've been up to or
Right, right.
you're like, "So you're gonna do this now?" And they're like, "Heck, I'm not doing that." Like, I would
Yeah.
never do that.
I know I've often described it as I'm merely looking through a keyhole at the characters and
Mhm.
reporting back to the readers what's happening on the other side of the door. Because things happen that you just don't even plan for. And it's what I also find funny is readers will write to me and say, I think, Violet would do this or this, and I can see her doing this. And it makes me kind of chuckle because I'll think, oh yeah, I could see her doing that. And then there's that moment of, wait, this is a person I made up in my head. you know, um, but
Yeah.
you get so used to them being real to you, just like they are to the readers, which is a wonderful thing. But sometimes I have to, it's just kind of jarring to go, oh wait, she's she's in me. It's
Mhm.
such a
It's
interesting
like you're
thing.
talking about a common friend.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I love it that the readers they feel they know the characters so well that they can it's a friend to them too, and a family to them.
That is the best feeling, isn't it?
Yes.
Just that feedback from the readers.
Yeah, that's what their kindness. It's so funny how just the little bit of kindness from our readers fuels us authors so much. It's like we're our health is drained in a video game and you just get
Mhm.
one nice email or one nice comment and it fills you right back up to the top and you're able to keep
Mhm.
going. I don't know if they all realize the power they have, to fuel and help us along.
Mhm. I have a folder on my desktop that's like kind things people have said. I'll take a screenshot or like a review of, and I'll put it in there for when I feel like giving up. It's all those little words, all that input of like,
Right.
I love this, that knowing that you made someone laugh, knowing
Right.
that they liked it, that they're invested, that you made them cry. Like,
Yes.
yeah,
It's
I think
it's it's
that's
the
the,
reason we do this, some of us, not all of us, but
yeah.
a lot of us. Definitely the reason I like to make people laugh and give them something happy to
Mhm.
focus on. An escape, a fun escape. So if I
Yes.
can do that for you, then that's wonderful because I need fun escapes too. So
Mhm.
that's a real positive feeling, back and forth.
It is. It is. All right. Here's a really fun question. Do you have
Okay.
a favorite author and what is something they do well?
That's tough. I have a lot of authors I go to as they're my go-to reads for I have authors that I go to for character.
Mhm.
There's authors that I go to for setting and description.
Yes.
So it's really hard. I don't have a favorite, is I guess what I'm saying. I have a lot of different authors I read and I like, but I don't read enough authors because I don't have time
Yeah.
to really give a good, like I could tell you, there's a romance author that I absolutely love her characters, and I have read her book easily 50 times. And every time it makes me laugh, it makes me cry a little bit. She's just so good. And Cheryl Rivas, I'm actually friends on Facebook because I stalked her, and
Mhm.
I constantly, tell her how much I love her stories, and she's wonderful to me. So it's my little light, oh, Cheryl's so good to me. She's one of my favorites for characters because she used to write the old Harlequin super novels, yeah, or super romances. They were the big 120K books where they really had more time to develop characters, and slowly take you on this long, big, romance train.
Mhm.
And I have almost all her stuff and I love her. But then I've read a lot of Stephen King in my time. Some really good who wrote Odd Thomas? My brain is not is Dean Koontz.
Mm-hmm.
So and Louis L'Amour, Zane
Yes.
Grey. I mean, I'm all over the place. It's like when I listen to music, it drives my kids nuts because I like to listen to all kinds of different music. And if you listen to
Mm-hmm.
my Spotify soundtrack, it's all over the place.
Yes.
And so that's kind of with reading the same.
Mm-hmm.
I look for certain things, and I don't try a lot of new books because I don't have time to read a lot of books yet. That's my
Yeah.
dream. When I'm older, I'm going to read books. It'll be fun.
Yes, yes. I am a bit of a book dragon. I love buying new books and collecting new books. If there's a garage sale, I make a beeline to that box of books that they have. And,
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll buy them all. Thank you.
Yes.
But yeah, but I look at them with so much guilt because I was like, someday I'll have time for you.
Yes.
Someday I'll sit down.
Someday.
Some days I'm
Exactly.
like, that's it. I'm gonna read a book. But like, yeah, there's just never enough time to read and write and take care of your actual life and your social calendar and stay on top of your house and just, oh gosh, there's so much going on.
Yes.
So it's a juggling act, right? So once
Yes.
in a while you get to read a book.
Once in a while. And my problem, I don't know about you,
Mm.
I'm a binger. So if I
Yes.
pick up a book and I like it,
No. Your butt's not moving until the book's done.
I know I'm going to be up all night and I'm going to hurt the next day, but I'm going to
Mhm.
finish the book cuz I
Yeah.
love it.
But there's so much joy in discovering a book you love or a series, then you get to marathon the whole thing,
Right.
or a new music group where you just have to like listen to the same song over and over again until you hate it. Like,
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, there's no fun being in one box. Like
Yeah.
like everything, like what you like for sure.
Right. I
Yeah.
agree.
All right. If you could tell a new author one thing, what would you tell them?
I would say try to enjoy the journey first and
Enjoy the
foremost.
journey. That's a good one.
Because ugh, you can get so caught up in watching someone else's journey and wishing it was yours and not realizing that you're having wonderful things happen. And it's something I remind myself all the time. I have little sayings around like that to say, enjoy the journey. Because in this day and age, when we're so in tune with everybody else. We're on social media. We can see who's doing great, who got a movie deal, whose book is at the
Yeah.
top 100, who's having this happen. And yay, that's wonderful. And it's really easy to start beating yourself up and feeling like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing what I want to do. Or, making the lists I want to
Mhm.
make and all that kind of stuff. But stop and sit back and look at the wonderful things that are happening around you, because sometimes it's the smallest things that will be big later on and mean something. A friend that you met at a conference, she or he may not be a big name author yet, but I have a lot of friends I've met that are now, bestsellers, and we have wonderful relationships, and it's because we just started and we were open to, hey, there goes a big bestseller, but that's okay. I'm just going to hang here with you and get to know you and have a good time. So it's about the people you meet and things like that along the way that
Mhm.
really matter in the long run. And it's a marathon. This is
Yes.
not a sprint. This is a long marathon. Was just thinking the other day, at my age, I still have a good 20, 25 years to go. Holy cow. It was like, I feel like I've been doing this a long time, but
Mhm.
there's still a lot of years left. If everything keeps, if my brain will keep working with my fingers, then, nobody goes on strike here, then we've got a long ways to go. And that's fun. That's exciting to think about.
It is. It is. Yeah, there's so much about meeting new people and building your network and growing together.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. They'll be some of your best friends in the long run,
Mhm.
if you just start out. And I like to sometimes when I've gone to conferences, I just sit, if with people that I don't know, just to have a change up.
Mhm.
So you'll meet amazing writers that are out there busting their humps trying to, get going. And it's just there's so many great people out there to meet and so many fun stories to hear.
There are. There are. I often, well, when people ask me about book signing conventions and whatnot, I say, like, yes, you will have fun meeting the new readers, but I think the greatest value is meeting the authors,
Mm.
meeting the other authors who are in the same boat as you. You
Yes,
know,
yes.
networking, learning from them, sharing with them, collaborating. It's wonderful.
Yes, I did a for the first time in years because of the kids. I haven't done as
Mhm,
many conferences as I used to, but I started up again last fall and went to a conference that was authors only, and met some that I authors that I'd known online and talked to a little, and then others that I knew from online, but I had never talked to. Had amazing times, and now we are still, chatting and talking and sharing, and it's just such a wonderful feeling that these people are struggling with the same stuff that we are. We write alone, and we sit here and have to, push through this, and knowing that you have people out there that are looking for someone like you to just share with their everyday struggles and their writing struggles is really cool.
mhm. It is. It is. Anyway, so I know you're a full-time writer, but I feel like this question will still apply to you. How do you make time for writing?
I've been so bad at it the last 2 years. That's why I strain with, the struggles I've had, but it's a matter of routine. Once if I can get myself in a set routine, it really helps when the kids are in school,
Absolutely.
better than summer break, but it's a matter of, okay, mornings are, when my brain is stronger on this front, so let's work on some humor in the morning. Late afternoons is when I can push through and just put crap on the page, and I'm okay with it. So,
Mhm.
at that point, let's just throw stuff on the page so that the next morning, that
Yes.
that part will, be there and ready for editing, which side of my brain just loves to do. So, it's finding that routine. I gotta work out in the midst of all this because sitting in a chair all day is hard. Uh,
Mhm,
and I'm getting older and I have to keep strong physically.
mhm,
So it's balancing all that. Spending time with the kids. I'll wake up in the night and think, oh, I need to spend more time with them. I'm not doing enough. And so then I, try to make a point of, for example, my daughter's a senior. She can drive herself to and from school. But a month ago, I said to my husband, I'm going to start driving her at least from school. If you wanna do to school, that's cool, or I'll do both. And he was like, "She can drive." And I said, "That half an hour of time for the drive in and the drive back is some really great time to spend with her." We talk
mhm.
a lot, she shares her day. It's a emotion, a touching point where we bond a little bit again and we share our stories.
Yes.
And so I said, "It's worth the extra time it's gonna take me to drop everything and go to have that time with her." So,
Mhm.
it's just trying to figure out what routine works best for me and my family and doesn't make me wake up in the middle of the night feeling like a horrible parent or that I'm not working hard enough. So, finding that balance is crucial.
Yes. So many of the authors that we've interviewed have also been mothers, and it is a theme that comes up again and again and again of balancing our families and our life against, writing as well.
Right.
Making, but in a lot of ways, making time for writing is also making time for yourself. It's your creative outlet. It's the thing that you're doing for you. It's
Yes.
part of your self-care. It's part of your self-expression.
Yes.
But oh gosh, that mom guilt is never ending.
Yeah, it's like that song, "Cats in the Cradle," just plays in my head over and over in
Yes.
the background if I don't, um, if I
Spend
don't
time with your kids,
if
yeah.
I spend too much time writing, it's like, you've forgotten about this, and they're gonna leave eventually or do their own thing, and if I don't form a strong enough bond, they're gonna be like,
Fine.
"Why are you even calling me, mom? What's going on?" So I can't have that. I want them to
Mhm,
always, so yeah, it's really tough, and I'm not everybody, feels this way, but I think a lot of us do. It's a it's that passion to write, and it's so fun to be creative and be in a different world and have this whole thing in this, you know, pretty
mhm,
shiny toy, but at the same time, remember that all these people are what make your writing even better because you have the love and the family and all that happiness to keep you going. So, yeah, bonding or I'm sorry, figuring out the harmony and all is tough.
yes, the balancing act. Yeah. Um, All right. So, yes, making time for writing. I guess it just comes down to scheduling and making sure that you put it on your schedule and make time for it, right?
Yeah, I have like show and tell. It just happens to
Sure.
be here. Last week was crazy, and you
Mm-hmm.
can't really see it, but you can see that's my to-do
It's
list
filled
and
in.
everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just a typical week. So finding a way to keep track of it all and write it all down, and then I don't feel like, oh, I'm losing my mind. I can't remember what to do.
Yes.
And
I know what that's like. Like, here's mine.
yes.
It's right here.
So it's figuring
Mhm.
that out, figuring out what works for you. Some people that doesn't work for. Some people
Mhm.
need to do lists daily. Some don't need to do lists. They're like, I've got this. And I always think, lucky you.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't.
I've got the ADHD. My brain retains nothing. If it's
Yes.
not on the schedule, it is gone.
Yes. Me too. It's like I want to carry a little necklace with a notebook around my neck, and then I
Mhm.
can write my things down all the time. Wherever I go. Wait, let me write it
Mhm.
down.
No, absolutely. I mean, I feel like that's my phone. Like the notes app is open all the time where I'm writing notes to
Yeah.
myself. I'm
Yes.
at the park with the kids and I'm like writing notes, writing notes. Like,
Yeah, and then you're like, "What's this purple pants thing I wrote down? Was that an idea,
yes.
or was this
Mhm.
what was this again? Or was"
Yeah. Sometimes I'll be driving and I use the voice to text
Uh-huh.
function, but like it doesn't know a lot of the fantasy words that I'm saying, or it does an approximation. So I'll have a few pages of this text and I have to like decipher what
What
did I
was
actually say
Yeah,
here?
what was
What
I
did it
doing
catch?
here?
Yeah.
That's
But
funny.
it's better than not writing down anything at all for sure. And you have to capture those ideas while they're in your mind or they might not stick around.
Oh, I know, you think I'm gonna remember, and then your kid comes up and asks for something, and everything you were just thinking
Oh,
you'd remember is
it's
gone.
gone. Yeah. Or you're in the shower and like just this inspiration is hitting you and you're like, oh, gotta get a towel, write it down really fast and write back
Yeah.
in.
You should put shower thoughts. A critique group and
Yes.
I used to
You
talk
need
about
like a
shower
board.
thoughts.
Yeah.
There's something about scrubbing your hair and cleaning that makes you think of stuff. So you need
Mhm,
like a board in the shower that won't run, that you could write on,
mhm,
and it's waterproof, and then you can have your shower thoughts and get them
mhm.
down.
Yes. It all counts for writing time. It does, those little
Yes.
moments that you can capture things.
Yeah, definitely.
Because writing is so much more than just sitting down and typing at the computer. It's all like letting it brew in your mind, letting it stew for a while, like thinking what if and developing characters and just yeah,
Right.
it all counts and it's all important.
Yeah, and it's overwhelming when you first start out, because I remember going when I was new to these workshops on, deeper point of view for characters, and I thought,
Mhm.
"What? I don't I don't even understand what you're saying." So, and I'm overwhelmed, what I'm supposed to do,
Yeah.
this plus have a theme plus have this going on.
Oh
I can't
yeah.
do it all. And so it's something that it takes time and practice to where you get that down, and then you start worrying about, well, what's the cadence of this scene? We need to look at that. How is the roller coaster going? Are we doing too many
Mhm.
drops, or do we need to, how are we going to make this ride the best that it
Oh,
can be?
pacing, yes, is tricky.
So it's something that I think a lot of new authors get. It's like deer in the headlight. Don't even
Mhm.
bring up marketing and all the different ways you can market a book now. Oh my gosh.
Oh
So
goodness. And you feel this pressure to do them all.
yes, yes. Pick your Every now and then I think there's too many ways. I can't do them all. And then I think, no, this is good. There's a lot of ways. Pick and choose. You get to,
Mhm.
it's not one way and only one way anymore. But at the same time, which should I be doing? What's going to
Mhm.
work?
I think the best advice I've been given for that is to pick the one that you're familiar with and you like. If you have
Yes.
something that's working for you, do that. Don't worry about the ones that you're missing out on.
Right. Start somewhere. I
Start
have
somewhere.
been
Yeah.
doing this so long that now I start to say, okay, what can I change? We've done this for years. We've done this type of thing. We've done this enough. We need to change it up, and we need to switch the whole way this machine is going to work marketing wise.
Mhm.
And that can be kind of scary and fun at the same time. And this is my year. I call it the old dog is learning new tricks. Dang it, because there are a lot of new tricks that I'm learning because it's time to change everything up again. It feels
Mhm,
stale, and I'm excited,
mhm.
but a little overwhelmed. But I have good
Yeah.
friends that are holding my hands through several parts of it, and that's again the power of networking.
Mhm,
That
mhm.
that makes a big difference.
Yeah, and trad published authors do that as well. Where like every few years they reskin their books, or
Right,
they do like they promote the older stuff again to generate
right.
new. Yeah, like if they're doing it, it's probably a good idea.
Well, that's the
Mhm.
the middle one back there is a hardcover now collector's edition that I went with a
Yes.
publisher, and I was talking to one of them, and talking about going forth and promoting it, and I said, I'm realizing I have been indie and running fast and hard and doing my thing for so long. I'm not sure how I do this. So I said, you have to tell me, how do I make this work? What do, authors that go this route do? Because I have to learn how they do it and how they do it
Yeah.
well so that I can, sell these books as well through a different way than I'm used to doing it. So yeah, it's kind of fun, and it's added some life to what felt like, the same old, and I'm loving
Mhm.
that.
Something new and shiny to study
Yes.
and learn. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's like I was talking to, my publicist, and I said, "Okay, I think I wanna start doing some library touring," and he goes, "Why haven't you been for years?" And I said, "It's the kids. I didn't wanna leave the
Mhm.
kids, I wanted to be home for all their stuff, but they're now to the age that they're like, 'What are you doing here?
They can
Go
handle it.
do s'"
Yeah.
So I can finally take the time to go do this different thing and try this and meet people in a different way that I haven't for years, which is exciting.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yes, a time and a season for all things, right?
Right, right. Keep mixing it up. And that's,
Mhm.
again, when you're new, it's all so much and it's overwhelming. And which one do I do? But just start somewhere, dig
Start
in,
somewhere. Yeah.
and then start your journey and then see which roads you take as you go. I think is the best thing.
I really enjoy these 2. Do you have a favorite part of writing and a least favorite part of writing?
I think the favorite part is when I know nobody's going to be reading what I'm writing and I can just be free enough to write whatever's on the page. It's that first 4 to 5 chapters where nobody's going to read this for a while and it's my little thing and I'm going to, treasure it and just enjoy the secret that I have of what's happening. And there's it's a real exciting, fun, fresh feeling, later on. It's gone through the ringer so much, through so many people and so many edits, that it doesn't have that brand
Mm,
new,
it's
beautiful
not new
baby
and shiny
feel.
anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's gotta be one of my favorite parts, that and laughing through a scene I'm writing because it's so funny, it's cracking me up. I love that. For my least favorite part, it's gotta be bookkeeping. Oh my gosh, this small
Oh,
business bookkeeping.
being a small
Um
business, what is that? Yeah, it's
It's
awful.
so it's so hard to keep track of every little thing, and there's a lot that, the more you grow, the more you spend on advertising, the more you spend on all this other
Mhm,
stuff. You have to keep every receipt unless you don't care about, your money, and then but bookkeeping is tedious and it's detailed and it's
mhm.
exhausting and I don't love it. And that would probably be the worst. I used to not love some parts of the marketing, but I've gotten to where I don't mind that so much anymore. But just still hate bookkeeping. I put on a really fun TV show that I know well,
Mhm.
so it doesn't distract me, but I love it and it makes me laugh. Brooklyn Nine-Nine,
Oh, yes.
Frasier, The Vicar from England.
Mhm.
I'll put something on like that and just let it
Something
roll
funny, yes.
so it can make me laugh while I crying over the books, right? So, that's really my favorite and least favorite parts.
Mhm. That's a good idea
Something to
of
distract you.
helping to make this situation more bearable,
Yes, you're having your
for sure.
fingernails pulled out, so you better do something that keeps you entertained so you don't scream too much.
Absolutely. Alright, what would you say has been your most significant writing victory so far?
Oh, that's tough. Sometimes it's just finishing a book. Every book is just there the last couple years. Last year, my mom passed, and it was really hard. And when I got to the end of that book, um, it was actually that book right there, Cops and Clobbers, and it's a caper themed mystery fun. It's in the series, book 14, but I didn't know if I could do it. And so when I came to the end of that and it had the humor and it was still there, that was such a victory for me, because for a while I was really afraid that I had lost the ability to tell a
Yes.
story. And that, as a writer, is one of the scariest things. It's not just, oh, I've hit a block. It's, is it
Is it
gone?
gone? Yeah.
Yeah. And I was so happy that it wasn't, and it came back. As the grief faded, I was able to dig back in and find it all again. And it came out, and the readers have been loving it. So it was really a success, a victory for me, because for a short bit there, I thought I was done and I needed to go start looking for a job, out
Mhm.
doing what I used to do, which was tech writing and that kind of thing. And so that was a victory. But each book along the way has been a victory in its own way. So it's, and I've totally lost what your original question was now.
Your most significant writing victory.
That
But
that's
it's a good answer. Like, you got to celebrate every victory, every book, everything that happens, like they're all to be celebrated for sure.
Yes, definitely. And there's been awards that have been really cool, and mentions and different things that have been really amazing. Like, one of the coolest things that happened to me that I didn't even know about it, was I got to be a question on Jeopardy with Alex Trebek.
Wow.
Um, and I didn't know it aired. And the East Coast people on the East Coast started calling my mother, who was Mountain Standard Time. And I was over on the West Coast at the time, and she called me and said, "You're on Jeopardy." And I was at work. And I said, "No, I'm not. I'm right here at work, writing tech docs." And she goes, "No, you're on Jeopardy." And we had this funny conversation of not understanding, and so she finally said, "You are a question on Jeopardy today."
That is
And I was like,
amazing.
how was, and it's something like Ann
What
Charles writes,
unique, but
some kind of mysteries in this town, centered in this town. And the answer is Deadwood. What is Deadwood? So I just happened to be hitting the charts just right at that time that it caught attention, and they included me as a question, and it was Celebrity Jeopardy. So some celebrities were on it. So it was just an incredible moment of how do you line those Swiss cheese holes up?
Mhm.
It's
I
just
wonder
like
if anyone got it right, because
nobody did. And the good
okay.
thing about that, when you don't get a question right, it sits there for 15 seconds with the Jeopardy music. So your name just sits on the screen.
Yeah.
So it was like I had a 15-second ad on national television. Holy cow. And I
Yeah.
didn't even know it. I
And
didn't
then
know
he
that.
says it. He says the name of your series, like,
Yes.
on TV. That's amazing.
It was the coolest thing, and I had no control over that. That was just the right
It
place at the
just
right time.
happens. Yeah.
So I often tell authors, you put as many irons in the fire as you can. You always are putting stuff out there, hoping that the opportunity is going to come along, and this will work out. And a lot of them don't. But every now and then something will, and it's going to be the best thing, for you, that it did work out. So that was just one example of, yeah, wild things that can happen in your career.
Mhm. Okay. Well, I want to thank you so much for being on our show. Do you want to show off your covers? Can you tell readers a little bit more how to find you online?
You can find me at anncharles.com, www, blah, 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 my mouth didn't work there,
Yes.
www.anncharles.com, no E in the N. And it will, if you go to the books, you can see all the different books. I have links to different places. You can read reviews if you go to the different retailers. We also have an online store. You can
Mhm.
buy the books. That's what's up on my shelves back there, is just books. Actually, this is the last I have. I have more coming in, and so that one just got ordered this afternoon. So she's letting me borrow it without realizing it. But anyway, you can find everything over there on my website. I'm also online all over the place. I am in audio. all over, as well as ebook and print. So that's kind of fun. Have the same audio narrator for like the Deadwood series from start to the end, and they love her. The readers love her. The listeners love her.
Oh, that's nice. You can keep it
And then the other
yeah.
cool thing is that the cover art, my brother is my artist, and we have cover art, and then my husband's my graphic designer. And in addition to the cover art, we also have, I was trying to find it really quick, images on the inside, our illustrations. Like here is one that's really fun in this book. I can't do it there. There we go.
Oh, that's
So
nice.
so my
Yes.
brother does the illustrations, and he does a few for every book, which is really fun. So all the books have few illustrations, and then it's a family business. You know, we work together to make stuff happen. So that's really the gist of Ann Charles there. Check out my website. Start with that.
Great. Sounds great. So thank you again, and thank you to the listeners at home. Join us next week. And remember, there's always more than one way up a mountain. To be on our show, find us on social media at The Tell Not Show or email us at thetellnotshow.com. Thanks.
Thanks again for listening. If you enjoyed the show, consider subscribing and liking. We appreciate all the support. Julia J.K. Allen is an author, editor, and coach and can be found at hijingsrudder.com.
Kirsha Fox is an author, avid reader, gamer, and mother to four, and you can find her at kirshafox.com. Thanks, and see you next time.
Thanks for having me on.